everybody, it's Kay. Thank you for watching. I noticed I got a whole bunch of new subscribers. Thank you for joining the family. And I wanted to let you know that I started this YouTube channel in an effort to share my IVF journey in the hope that it will inspire or motivate others. I was really inspired by a lot of YouTubers who focused on their fertility journeys, and my goal is to possibly give back and do the same for others who might need some extra tip, a motivation, or a suggestion. I upload new videos every Tuesday. Please be warned that those videos are very IVF rough, as I like to call it. They are raw. I take off my phone camera, I vlog, and I have compiled all those videos that I took and created fertility journals so that you guys can keep up to date with my journey each and every step of the way. Today, I'm going to go ahead and share with you how I got a euploid embryo at the age of 43. If you think this information might be useful for you, please stay tuned. Let's get right to it. The first reason I think we were able to get a euploid embryo at the age of 43 is because I quickly discovered mini IVF. When I first started my IVF journey, I had exhausted about 4 IUIs, and a fifth cycle was actually my first conventional IVF, but then it was converted into an IUI because I could not, I was a poor responder, so I could not get the 3 mature minimum that is required to do a conventional IVF cycle. So IVF was not an option for me. So my husband and I conducted research and we discovered mini IVF. And mini IVF maximizes all the embryos that you have. So if you undergo through this type of IVF, if you only have 1 egg that ends up maturing, they will retrieve that one and try to make it work. And so I truly believe that this type of IVF gave me a chance to start IVF, and in the process, I eventually got to my euploid embryo. The second reason I think that I was able to get a euploid embryo at the age of 43 is because when I was working with my new doctor, he actually was the 3rd doctor I worked with in my IVF journey. I canceled and stopped working with the first 2 doctors because their specialty was conventional IVF. So my 3rd doctor, Dr. Frank Helian at Life IVF Center in Orange County, California, he specializes in mini IVF. But what was also great in working with him was that he readily provided the data for women of my age group and informed me and my husband before we even started the likelihood of us getting a euploid embryo. For my age group at his clinic, the likelihood was 1 out of 6 IVF cycles, 1 out of 8 IVF cycles. But as always, he also gave us the disclaimer that that does not mean that it is a guarantee. You may undergo those cycles and it not work. And so, as you know, because IVF is a journey of hope and faith, we made a plan to pursue those cycles to kind of see what would happen. And so because of that data, I was able to, even when I underwent 5 IVF cycles that failed. So what happened was, when I started the journey, every cycle was a failure, including a transfer cycle that I had that was intended to for a frozen embryo transfer and fresh. That failed too. And there was an egg retrieval where the egg ran away. I'll probably put that video below so you guys can see it. It was pretty devastating. But I had the data, so I kept going. And then at the 6th cycle, I was able to eventually get the egg that resulted in the embryo that gave us our pregnancy. The other reason that I believe got us a euploid embryo at 43 is diet. My doctor doesn't think so. In fact, pregnancy, he says, happens to people who have bad diets and people who have good diets, is what Dr. Yillian often used to say. And I know that he is right, because when you look at people who get pregnant, it's not that everybody in the world who gets pregnant decides to go on a diet, right? But I do think personally, though, that what you eat helps with that whole mindset, meditation, diet, it really leads to that success. So I truly believe that it is okay to actually look at your budget and tweak it a little bit. When I was reading research about eggs, I learned that the eggs you retrieve in a particular cycle were developed 3 months before that cycle. So when I look back at the cycle that I got the euploid embryo, 3 months before that cycle would be the month of July. And so I remember during that month of July 2020, that was really at the peak and epitome where I had cleaned out my fridge of anything that was artificial. I ate purely organic food. I really did work with my body. 2 resources that really helped me in that journey of eating right and even having a good mindset is the book It Starts with the Egg and The Tao of Fertility with Dr. Dao from LA. He's a wonderful doctor that a lot of women in Los Angeles visit to kind of get their bodies right in preparation for IVF, which includes that whole thing of acupuncture and mindset. And so I did read Starts with the Egg and Dr. Tao of Infertility so that I could kind of be in the right mind space and exhaust every option that was out there. 4th reason I believe that we got an euploid embryo at 43 is mindset. I cannot tell you how meditation, going into these cycles with a calm state of mind, a sense of hope, I believe was absolutely critical, because there's something about biology and nature and mindset and having your body, go into these types of situations calm, and when you're not kind of like a nervous wreck and feeling just frustrated all the time. And I truly believe that was one of the reasons where we eventually got to that golden egg, because when you have to undergo multiple cycles of IVF and you don't know which cycle is going to work, it's very easy to get frustrated and get your levels up and down all over the place, and you just don't know what could happen. And so I truly believe that the meditations that I did, maintaining a positive mindset, prayer, really helped me get to that euploid embryo at 43. The final reason that I think that we got to a euploid embryo at 43 is the fact that we were not afraid to PGT test. The reason I say not afraid to PGT test is when you have age-related infertility, your eggs are older, and so they will struggle. You will see your body will honor you in a way that will surprise you, because the eggs are really old. I mean, you were in your mother's womb when your eggs were first made. And so when you have 43-year-old eggs, when I started monitoring the progression of these eggs, I could tell that my body was really doing the best that it could. And it was very difficult to make the decision to extend beyond day 3, because as you guys know, there are some studies that say that the best place for the embryo is the mother's body, which is why some clinics do day 3 transfers, some clinics do fresh transfers, right? And I believed in that until when I did attempted the fresh transfer and the frozen embryo transfer for day 3 early on in my IVF journey. That is what made me realize that we need to do more here. Something's going on, because this is not working. So the decision was to extend the embryo up to the 5th day when it grew to 100 cells. The problem with giving the embryo more time to become day 5 blastocyst means with age-related infertility that you might lose that egg and you might lose that cycle. But we decided it was too frustrating going through that failed transfer, and when the egg ran away, I just didn't produce enough eggs to kind of continue on that path. So we needed to really continue up until the 5th day in the hope that it will make it there. And then even then, we would then take a little sample of it and test it before we put it back in, because as you know, when you have age-related infertility, miscarriage is also something that is rampant with older women, and it happens happens because of the chromosomes and the genetic, makeup of the embryo. It just struggles, and there's extra chromosomes, and there's just all this research on that. So because of the strong likelihood of miscarriage, and because it was really important that we make sure that the embryo worked, we made that decision moving on, even though it would cost us IVF cycles, meaning that there's a probability that they would fail, that we would PGT-A test. And that's, I think, what really led to getting to that euploid embryo, because we continued until we got that embryo that we knew had high chance of success for working. I did also actually want to mention one observation that I made. So happy with PGT-A tested, because the cycle before the one that ended up being productive for us, we did end up with a 4BB embryo, which is a good embryo by any standard whenever you get that type of an embryo, right? But when you have age-related infertility, even a 4BB could have issues. That's what ended up happening for us when we PGT-A tested that embryo. It ended up actually, not being a euploid embryo. And the funny thing is, all circumstances considered, that would have been a day 5 embryo that we would have transferred back in, which, as you know, would probably have resulted in miscarriage. And if it would not have been an early miscarriage, it would have been a later miscarriage, which would have led to heartbreak and possibly a DNC. And then I would need time to recover, which would then have meant going back into doing IVF later, when I was age 44 going on to 45. So because I was embryo banking and trying to capitalize, for lack of a better word, my youth at that point, my 43-year-old youth, and not waiting until 44, 45, we decided to go ahead and PGT-A test just to be safe. So folks, those are the steps that we took that I believe led us to a euploid embryo at 43. Let me know if you have any other questions, and thank you for watching, guys. Until my next video, bye.